Today, we're going to take a closer look at something called modified citrus pectin, or MCP for short. And we're going to explore how it just might help us tackle one of the absolute deadliest challenges when it comes to cancer, its ability to spread.
I mean, just think about that for a second. Could a potential solution to one of medicine's toughest problems be hiding in plain sight and something we literally throw in the trash every day? Citrus peels? It's a wild thought, so let's dig in and see how this could even be possible.
All right, so where does this whole story begin? Well, it actually starts with a substance that's probably in your kitchen right now, even if you don't know it.
That's right. We're talking about pectin. It's that natural fiber in the peels of oranges, lemons, and grapefruits that, makes jam get thick and jelly set. But here's the thing. In its natural form, our bodies can't really do much with it.
And this right here, this is the absolute key. Regular old pectin is made of these huge molecules. They're so big they just pass right through our digestive system without getting absorbed. But modified citrus pectin is different. It's been chemically altered, broken down into much smaller fragments. And that changes everything, because it means our bodies can actually absorb it into the bloodstream, where it can finally get to work.
So, to really understand why getting this stuff into our bloodstream is such a big deal, we have to talk about the main reason cancer becomes so incredibly dangerous, and that's its ability to spread, a process called metastasis.
Simply put, metastasis is when cancer cells break off from the original tumor, get into the bloodstream or lymphatic system, travel around the body, and then set up shop somewhere else, forming new tumors. This is what makes cancer so hard to fight.
And the gravity of this situation? Well, it really can't be overstated. According to the research, metastasis is the major contributor to over 90% of all cancer-related deaths. It's the #1 problem we need to solve.
So how does metastasis actually happen? How do these cells manage to travel and stick somewhere new? Well, it turns out it boils down to a very specific, sticky problem at the cellular level, and the key player here is a protein called galectin-3.
The core idea is actually pretty simple. For cancer cells to team up, survive the journey through the bloodstream, and then grab onto a new spot, they have to be sticky. They need a way to adhere to each other and to the walls of our blood vessels. And that's exactly where galectin-3 comes in. The best way to think of it is like molecular Velcro on the outside of these cancer cells. This protein is what gives them that stickiness, allowing them to clump together and attach themselves where they absolutely shouldn't be. So this Velcro enables a 3-step invasion. First, the galectin-3 helps the cancer cells clump together into little groups, which makes them stronger for the journey. Second, these clumps use that same stickiness to latch onto the walls of blood vessels. And third, once they're anchored, they can push their way into new, healthy tissue and start forming a brand new tumor.
Okay, so if galectin-3 is the engine driving this whole deadly process, how can we throw a wrench in the machine? Well, this is where modified citrus pectin comes back into our story. The way MCP intervenes is actually pretty genius. Those small, absorbable MCP molecules have a special talent. They are naturally attracted to those galectin-3 proteins. So, by binding directly to that molecular Velcro, MCP basically gums up the works. It neutralizes that cellular glue, making it much harder for cancer cells to stick to each other or to anything else.
And its job doesn't seem to stop there. The research suggests that MCP launches a kind of multi-pronged attack. So besides just blocking galectin-3, it's also been shown to interfere with the signals that tell cancer cells to multiply. Plus, it can help improve the activity of our own immune cells and even boost the effectiveness of certain chemotherapy drugs.
Now, all of this sounds great in theory, right? But what about the real world? What does the human clinical evidence actually say? Let's take a look at the studies.
One of the most studied areas for MCP has been in prostate cancer. This is especially true for men whose cancer is progressing even after they've had conventional treatments, something that's often tracked by a rise in their PSA levels.
So, in one of the key pilot studies, a group of men were given a daily dose of 15 grams of modified citrus pectin. And the results were pretty significant. In 70% of the men, that's 7 out of 10, MCP slowed down the rate at which their PSA levels were rising. Now, that longer doubling time is a really big deal because it suggests that the growth of the cancer itself is slowing down.
And the research isn't just limited to prostate cancer. Another study looked at a group of patients who had various types of advanced solid tumors that had already spread and for whom conventional treatments hadn't been successful.
What's really compelling here, though, is the impact on quality of life. In this trial, patients who took just 5 grams of MCP a day reported some major improvements.
We're talking less pain, less fatigue, and better sleep. This suggests that by maybe reducing that metastatic burden, MCP can help ease the overall strain that the disease puts on the body.
Now, whenever we're discussing any potential therapy, probably the most important question is it safe? So how does MCP stack up?
Well, the sources all point to a really favorable safety profile. MCP is generally very well tolerated. The main side effects are just some mild digestive issues that usually go away if you lower the dose. So because of this low toxicity, it's considered a really appealing option as a non-toxic adjunct therapy.
You know, it's a fascinating idea, isn't it? A simple fiber modified from a part of a fruit we throw away that can intervene in this incredibly complex cellular process and potentially disarm one of cancer's deadliest weapons. It really leaves you wondering, as we continue to look deeper into the natural world for answers, what other powerful secrets are just sitting there, waiting for us to find them?